that's very involved in the gTLD process, along with Mike Perkins, who I haven't seen yet this morning. I don't know if he's out walking his dog. Oh, he's right here? Oh, there he is, Mike and Judy. Thank you for being here. And also with the main holdings, Mr. Monty Khan. Next, we are very privileged to have two of the new gTLD applicants who will be coming online in the very, very near future. The first is Jeff Sass from .Club. And the second is Tim Johnson from .Kiwi. All from New Zealand, he's right. Now, on my left, your right, is the inimitable Mr. Rick Schwartz. No necessarily. And next to him, courageous enough as it is, because Rick has been looking for somebody to take his side. And he found the right guy. Please welcome Lonnie Gore. I'm going to start the session off, and then I'm going to leave it up to everybody to take it on their own. Actually, what I'd like to do maybe is ask Frank and Rick to make a couple of opening statements just to get this thing started, and then we'll take questions and we'll get into the debate. Frank?
I want to let Rick go first.
Okay. We'll let Rick go first. I'm not going into a strategy first.
Okay. So let me start, like Howard saying, I am not against whatever. I am like you. I'm an opportunist. Okay? I really don't care what flavor opportunity comes in. I'll be all over it when I see it. And I'm sure you feel the same way. So let's get that straight from the gate. And I think the people that are here are basically open-minded people. It isn't like the forums and the comments and where people take a position and they're just locked in. You know, like I said, we're opportunists. And I admit it, and I'm proud of it, actually. With that said, the writings that I've been doing over the summer, and actually into last winter, about whatever, is to show the pitfalls that are coming. It's it almost could help Frank and a lot of these guys by showing them, by inoculating them, because there are going to be major pitfalls, and some of the comments that I see prove there's going to be major pitfalls that they don't see. And you know, sales is about overcoming objections, and you can't ignore them. And like I said this morning, and if maybe you have a little bit of time to think about and digest this, .com is the biggest franchise in the history of mankind. Think about that. Almost every single major company on this planet has a .com at the end of their name. They're doing trillions of dollars in business. They're advertising in the billions a day in every corner of the world. And, you know, I don't see it as a threat. I see whatever as every other city in the United States opening up and states opening up, and that never hurt Times Square. That only made Times Square bigger and better and more expensive. So anyone that's going to use .com as a whipping boy to sell whatever, they're going to, you look like an IBMer at that point. You know, it's wishful thinking. It's not based on facts. You have to realize that .com isn't going anywhere. The only thing that will happen with .com, the prices are going to go up. They're going to skyrocket. You know, it was too bad. Frank and I were talking yesterday casually for over an hour, and I said, damn, I wish there was a camera in front of us, because we had a really, really great debate. We just took on head to head, and you know, we each made our points, and that's what it is, because this is not a straight path to anywhere. This is going to be a crooked path, and Steve Forbes said as much back in 2007. So I love what's happening. I mean, imagine, for me, from 1995, when no one knew what a damn domain was, to come to 2013 and 2014, where domain names are going to become the center of the universe for everyone in the world, that's a great thing.
Yeah, well said. I hope you're right. You know, because as the owner of .com, clearly, I don't want .com to go away. And I don't think it will. You know, I just think, you know, and a lot of this was made of, you know, when I was in London at the dealing thing, and I did mention .com will eventually end up like AM radio. And that's not so bad, because you know, it's going to take all the other gTLDs And all the other stuff to equal,
We stop
and
there?
they're satellite.
Okay, so let's take your AM FM example.
Yeah.
There was a reason FM became FM. They had stereo. They had something to offer.
Right.
The gTLDs have no new anything to offer.
Well, they do,
Well,
because
they had, the last new thing to offer was .mobi, right? That was
we talked about this yesterday, and we looked at the history of all the other gTLDs, and let's talk about it. You know, I mean, .info is the first one, right? But I watched that happen, grading video in 2000, and they wanted .web as the open one. And I remember Vince
Which was a better
saying,
choice.
which would have been a great choice, but I remember Vince Cerf at ICANN saying, no, we're not reserve .web for IOU. We could see the faces of the guys who got info. Going, you know, oh my God, we got info. You know, it was like horrible, right? And so that's, and then we got, what was next? We got Biz, which is really a professional domain that sounds completely unprofessional, because it has a Z on it. The only thing who have made it more unprofessional is to have some two Z's on the end of it, right?
And that another deal was exactly what I wrote a few weeks ago about .biz. It just seems like
So
a
that's
right extension.
And then we got Mobi. Mobile would have been better, mobile. But we got Mobi, which didn't really have a purpose. And they're all kind of out there on their own. It's kind of like when you see people dancing in the dance hall. There's one person dancing all by themselves, you know, okay, yeah, we're all going to dancing. But you get a room full of dance floor people dancing, and now you got a party.
Listen, I never heard of that about .mobi until your friend next to you told us all about .mobi.
So, you know, and there's a story.
This means I can successfully launch a new TLD.
And travel, jobs, which are great names, and I think they'll get a rebirth because of this round. They sucked because you had to, for jobs, you had to send a form in to say, you know, and imagine .pro, which isn't great, but isn't terrible. You have to fax in your credentials, proving you're a lawyer. Who the hell's going to jam, right? And then we've got, you know, triple X, which should have been a home run, but we've got, you know, a registry operator that polarizes the entire space, really, that they're trying to serve you, and then charges $60 a year, which is actually a lot of money. You know, $8 a year, I can get behind that. You know, $60 a year, not so much.
And that's also another thing we talked about, is pricing. It's like having a price at 60 and 80 and $100 or more. With .com is $8 or $9.
I've always said namespaces are like countries. Those countries that offer low taxes, which is low renewal and registration costs. Hands-off governance, which means you don't have to go through a checkpoint to go get a gallon of milk. You know, you go where you want to go when you want to. Why am I going to plane this afternoon? I'm going to go get on a plane. It's a free country, right? Same thing in namespaces. You got to be able to, you know, be able to build what you want, where you want, when you want to. And then the last element, strong rule of law. If I get robbed or carjacked, I can call the cops and they'll look in. If you've got a namespace where you know people are spamming, there's abuse and stuff, you got to be able to shut down that abuse, right? And so those are the countries and namespaces that thrive to the envy of others. .com was first. It had very well built it together. VeriSign simply hasn't built .com. They just bought, you know, the franchise, and you know, and I would say they couldn't screw it up.
Here's a prediction. Even with you thinking that .com is going to go like this, I would say that .com will do more registration by itself than all the other GLTs added together.
Added together, wow, I don't.
That's what I believe.
I don't think so. ICANN's own projections, their own internal projections are calling for 200 million. I'm not sure that was right. 200 million new registrations by 2022 in new Gs. So .com will not get more right because you got to think about.
But how many of those new registrations would be IBMs?
Not that many. But the debate should be new gTLDs versus .com. This is not about taking away .com's market
You're right.
share.
Well, wait a second. The reason that
It is because there's 5 billion people that aren't online yet that should be. This is for the new generation and the new market and the people that are not exposed to the web yet. And my kids who don't care whether they type in a .com, a .info, or a .law, or a whatever, they're going to get a domain name that best meets their needs to what their message is about, to what they want to do for business. And this is just like when there was only one 800 number. There was only one area code. There was only one zip code. Long time ago. And now there's thousands. And there's 26 toll-free numbers. And it's going to figure itself out, and it's going to be very segmented in silos and in industry-specific domains. They're not all going to be successful, but some will be very successful. Some will flounder and go away, but it will repeat itself and it will figure itself out. And those with good marketing and vision and messaging will be successful. And those that are struggling today to even fill out the application and pay the fees, they may not make it. But it's coming, and everybody's backing on board.
The difference too is you have with the gTLDs, you have the opportunity, Rick, to use your analogy, you said FM had stereo. But what the new TLDs have is meaning, right? They're extensions that actually bring meaning and value and branding to a
maybe confusion.
But no, meaning is not confusion. Meaning clears up confusion, right? Because you understand what it means.
It's going to be very chaotic and confusing, but that's how people learn to move on. It's very confusing when there's more than one area code, zip code, and when you have to start dialing your area code to get to a phone number, it's going to be confusing, chaotic, but that's how people will learn. And then knowing that big companies like Google and Amazon and Microsoft are all behind it and putting it into their search algorithms, and they're registering hundreds of names themselves, there's definitely going to be an infrastructure and a way to figure it out. And a lot of you were at the restaurant last night, and one of my criteria of investing in a restaurant before I ever do is that the owners of the restaurant would also have to put their money in. And knowing that Google and Amazon and Microsoft and the foundation companies on the internet, even Nike and Sony and all these corporations are going behind this, and they're going to start advertising it. And you're going to start seeing it more frequently on the web and on TV. You're already seeing advertisements on the web by one-on-one, showing all the different extensions. That's going to really be it's going to help the whole market. It's help all of us, whether you have a .com or not.
That's just the beginning.
It's just the beginning, right?
There's so much more. Like nobody spent any, marketing dollars really yet. I mean, there's so much lying in wait yet, and much more to come. And I can tell you, we've got brands talking about now too. We didn't apply. We'd like to apply. Can you help us? Once you open up historically, when ICANN meetings, and it's policy wonks and technical purists go to these meetings, and then you've got the marketing department of corporate America in the room.
I think a distinction between .brand, because I can see a need and a use for a .brand. Maybe internally, maybe externally.
Yes.
But I can see a need for it. Plus, I can see a company for 185 grand just reserving their thing just in case that they ever need it. Doesn't mean they'll ever use it.
That's how a lot of the first ones will be.
Exactly.
Just like when Ford took Ford.com in '88, one of the first companies to get a domain name. They didn't know what they were going to do with it. They might use it for this email thing, and then when the browser came out,
What'll change it is content, and it has to be a destination. So if those things happen, then advertising happens, and then awareness happens. But there's still a confusion factor, and the point is that confusion factor will have a percentage number attached to it, no matter what any of us say. Okay, this is all bullshit. What's certain is there will be a confusion factor. So in time, that confusion factor will probably go down. It'll never be zero. Okay, it'll never be 100% either. And the only thing we have to go on right now is Mr. Johnson and O.co, who did a huge campaign during Super Bowl and lost 61% of their traffic to O.com that didn't even exist. So,
but that's their primary target for Europe. So it's actually a very successful acquisition for them. That is their landing for Europe. O.co is their main web portal for Europe.
well, sure, it didn't work in the United States.
I'm still using it.
I'm just speaking from somebody who from a totally different perspective. I thought gTLDs was the first really public announcement of the launch of the extension. It was the whole launch of the extension. Now, gTLD, I bought it at the very beginning. I met Elliot in New York to get some drinks, and I walked away spending $81,000. It was an expensive drink, and I had a very expensive drink. And honest to God, before I got in the car on my way to New York, I had never heard of the extension before. It was never on my radar. Sure, I heard of it. I can guarantee I had no intention of buying that domain name. That being said, I bought it. I watched the evolution. I sold it, made a profit on it, and if I had to do it all over again, I would not buy that name. I think it was a very big risk to buy one name for that amount of money. But let me say this. I'm looking. One of the things that concerns me about the whole new development of all the gTLDs, it's a very small industry. And Frank gets it. You've been here and done more than any of this. Rick's been here and done more than any of this. That being said, I see a lot of new people that have not been here. They weren't around for all the hard work, all the years, all the experiences that we have. And I would liken it to solar power. Everyone has energy, everyone has power in their homes. And solar power is going to be something one day. Look at Solyndra and the amount of money that went into Solyndra. Look at how awfully it failed. And look at the guys that were there, very young entrepreneurial guys that had very little experience in the energy business. And so Linda, I mean, how much money was just flushed down the
Well,
toilet?
you know, if you're gonna sleep, you can look at Goodyear Tire, and Gillette razors, those guys are great brands. The founders of those companies both went broke, lost everything. The only thing that looks on is their name on the company. That brings me no comfort.
You look at the USFL, the NFL football is, I mean, who doesn't watch football? And how many people are trying to compete with the NFL, USFL, the World Football League, and it's a great, it's a great product football, but to actually go out there and compete, you would think, there's times of the year that's not football, so we could bring another league in, Canadian Football League, yet the NFL has, no one has been able to.
That's not quite true, Lonnie. It was AFL that got them really moving.
Well, before my time. But that being said, at some point, someday, yes, our children will demand a greater experience, and that will change. Yet, you have a very small group of owners that control the industry, and they'll be, they put a lot of money, a lot of juice in before they're going to let another league just pop up and just knock that out with a very watered down product.
It depends on the utility. If you're looking like everybody's so worried about, football that they didn't see, Ultimate Fighting Champions, which has become $1 billion industry. So it's like, another good example is Sears was so worried about Montgomery Ward they didn't see Walmart. Right? So there's always things that depends on the utility of the economies.
Absolutely, but I think there's going to be a bloodletting. I think a lot of this is going, a lot of people are getting into this without really understanding it.
Like Jason said.
Where's their money? Why are they not asking the people that have been in this industry for many years? So as to, obviously, Monty.
They are.
I understand that, but
the chance of success increases with the number of smart people that are bouncing into.
I'd be asking everybody. I'd be asking me, I'd be asking anyone, and trying to get their experiences. No one's ever come over to me and said to me, how would you position yourself in this new TLD marketplace? No one's ever asked that question.
How would you position yourself in this new TLD?
I tell you, I think long and hard about it. I definitely would not go out to my 30s.
Lots of alcohol orders.
I think that anyone who's not in this space has thought long and hard, and we haven't done that before, we've gone after one. And there's going to be successes and failures, just as there is in any industry. But the world is changing. .com, to be honest, the namespace is not a zero-sum game at all. Millions, if not billions, of people are entering the internet every day. .com is a zero-sum game. But that actually creates value for .com.
I disagree with
There's a
you.
limited number of great brandable .com.
My kids, I have young kids, and they still know .com. They don't know anything else. And anytime at this point when I sell a domain name, I ask the buyers what their feeling of the new TLDs are, and they look at me like a deer in the headlights. They have no idea what they are.
Want to run that clip?
Dan, you can run that clip, please.
When people say they will, and people speak for other people, this is what people this is real street people that Howard interviewed on Saturday.
I'm just going to run over to Danny for a second while he watches.
Don't strangle Danny. Danny, pick off, man. Go hide. Hurry.
Howard is wiser.
Howard New here on beautiful Los Angeles Boulevard in downtown Fort Lauderdale, asking people on the street and businesses what they know about the new gTLDs. Hi, what was your name?
Hey, Caroline.
Hi, Caroline. This beautiful boutique store. Do you have a .com web address?
No, we don't use that. Our merchandise, it's like we change a lot, so for us it's very complicated.
Have you ever heard of the new, what they call gTLDs, the new extensions that are coming out? Okay, thank you very much. This real estate business here, do you have a web address?
We have a web address as a company, and each individual realtor has their own web addresses as well.
And what is your web address, if I may ask?
The Better Homes and Gardener? .com, yes.
.com. Yes. Have you heard of the new gTLD extensions that are coming out?
No, I have not.
Okay, well, thank you very much. Appreciate you. We have a great art gallery here. My photographer here says he's seen some beautiful stuff here, and I can see it is now. Do you have a web address for this gallery?
It's on the card that I just gave you.
Have you heard about anything about the new extensions that are coming out?
No.
Do you haven't heard about the new, what they call gTLDs? Thank you very much. What's your first name? Oh, Joseph. So this must be yours. It's beautiful, man. You got some great stuff here. Do you have a web app? And why not?
We're a very seasonal store, and we don't feel that web's going to do much for us.
Okay, have you heard of the new extensions that are coming out, like .art and .gallery and that type of thing?
Not particularly, no.
Okay, thank you very much, appreciate it. What is your first name?
Jonathan?
Hi, Jonathan, you got a nice optical store here. Do you have a web presence?
Yes, we are on Facebook.
You're on Facebook? You don't have a website except on Facebook?
We do have a website, but right now it's under construction, the remodeling it.
And what's your Facebook page?
Optical Spectrum Not Solus at Facebook.
Very good. Have you heard of the new extensions that are coming out, like .optical and that type of thing?
No, I haven't.
Okay, well, thank you very much, appreciate it. And what's your name? Hi, Shannon. This is one thing I want to see how people in the store. Do you have a website?
Yes, we do.
And what is the name of the website?
It is Needlepoint Originals at www.needlepointoriginals.com. That's it.
Okay, so it's a .com website.
Correct.
Have you heard of the new extensions that are coming out, like .needlepoint, that type of thing?
No, I have not.
Okay, thank you very much, that's all I want.
Howard, you should go on across the street where people are more happy. I did, but they weren't any happier.
Let me explain what you saw here. Let me explain what you saw here, put it in context, okay? We're in the forest, we see this all day long. This is just randomly went down the street, went to store owners. This is the reality of where a lot of people are. Everyone says, well, the small business guy. Hey, there's the small business guy. He don't see it the way you see it. I mean, what's your web address? Something at whatever. What's your web address?
How many people knew what touring was before Miley Cyrus? All it's gonna take is a couple of successes and a couple of big things to get attention, and people will know.
The point that I'm saying is it's gonna take another 20 years just for the .coms to evolve. You know, it's
Let me ask Jeff, Jeff, if you can tell us, and I can make the trade secret, I don't know, what is your marketing strategy for .club?
Well, I mean, we're treating .club as a mainstream brand, really as a mass market TLD, because it reaches anyone who's passionate about something. People want to come together about a common interest or passion. There are millions of existing clubs. There are millions of retailers who use club or form a club for their loyalty and affinity programs. There's millions of groups on Facebook and LinkedIn and other internet sites that are actually clubs and organizations that can benefit from the name. And there are people who are just passionate about it. It's an open domain, there are no restrictions. It's just a club, it's a word that adds meaning to whatever's to the left of the dot. And we're positioning it that way, we're going to back that up with marketing dollars and support because it's the only thing we're focused on.
And you know what? I like .club. You know why? Because I can think of many things to put before .club. But when I saw .camera last week from Paul from Donuts, how many different extensions? I mean, it's the variables.
You got the other clip, Danny?
You did one?
Yeah.
Okay.
So why don't you chime in on, another side of this that we're bullish on also is the geo-targeted extension. So .miami.org.
Let's listen to this.
That's what I said. Case that shows about. Yeah. But I've never heard it said. I've never heard it said. And then it's understood what I said. Why it's added BC. So if they're at the moments, added BC, GE.com. I mean,
That's not internet.
But they think it's an internet app. That's the problem.
This isn't our lifetime. Y'all that we know, who don't know what the internet is.
And Manny tells me that this is from 1994.
Because you can't say anything 10 seconds too much. Oh, Alice will be in the studio shortly. What is that? Oh, I thought you were going to tell us about this one.
It is the on-camera guy to explain what the internet is.
Right, and open access. Right.
I think that's enough, Danny.
Okay, Manny. But you mentioned Geo, and I want to hear from Tim Johnson on Kiwi, because it's definitely a Geo.
Yeah, thank you. I think I'd like to bring some international context because .com is not everything. So in New Zealand, .com is not trusted. .nz is, but not .com. So there is a whole world outside this .com that we're talking about. It's pretty big. Maybe not New Zealand, but it's pretty big.
And you know, I mean, roughly 1% of people on Earth own a domain name, or more, as the case may be in this room. But I mean, you know, I want to think that maybe 2%, 60 million people, 7 million people, 70 million people, maybe individual accounts own their domains, right? So, and the guy in Los Angeles over there with the Facebook account, why do people go to Facebook? Because names are hard. Go tell somebody to register a name, maybe they'll get the name. Go tell them to put up a website, and they'll cringe and be like, oh, I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to go to Facebook. Get a Pinterest account or a Twitter account. It's just so much easier to publish. Well, what do you think is going to happen with these new Gs? You know, they're going to be registered with building an end-to-end solution to allow you to, buy the name, put it online, click here to activate your Gmail account. One click. Oh, okay, congratulations on your purchase. Click here to activate your Gmail account with, Monty at con.link, and people are going to get that link. Click here to put up your website site, and then it's lines. That you can make that magic possible when you are vertically integrated. You own a registry, you own a registrar, you own the infrastructure that publishes it. Others, they're going to do the same thing. Google, Amazon, these are big companies that bring products to market. And, we were talking yesterday, I said, this is like a tsunami is happening. And the sea is going out. Before the tsunami comes in, the sea's receding. Everybody's like, what are you talking about? The tsunami's coming. And the water's going out, right? I'm like, no, the water's about to come in and run. Run now. And that's what I'm kind of driving at. You can, maybe.
And we both agree that the tsunami is coming. We're both on the same page with that. We just disagree on the form that it comes in.
Right. I don't think it's
Well, let Tim talk about Kiwi, because this is important. The geo side of this is a whole other side of it, which is, imagine a lawyer in Miami getting law.miami or divorce.miami or divorcelaw.miami instead of a .com, because they're local. It's a geo-targeted address. It's a lot more relevant maybe than a .com in some cases, depending on what market you're serving. So talk about your Kiwi experience.
Yeah, so when your prompt is passion, maybe camera. I'm not terribly passionate. I own a camera. I'm not terribly passionate about the fact that I do. Do I want the world to know that I'm passionate about my camera? I don't know. Maybe there's a small subset of people that do, but for us at Kiwi, we have an entire country. It may not be that big, but we have an entire country who are 92% of them are super passionate about being Kiwi.
Actually, .nz is the New Zealand country code is a little concerned about .kiwi, are they not?
They are, and they should be. And I guess back to my point, .com is not a threat for us down in New Zealand. It's not.
How many NZs are there?
It's about 600,000. Yeah. So with a population of 5,600,000 names, so it's
how many Kiwis are you guys projecting against the 600,000?
We have surveyed, so our competitor .nz surveyed their customers and said, would you prefer .nz or .kiwi? And around about 15% wanted .kiwi. So you do the numbers on that. When we surveyed with a slightly different question, we came back at 25%. So we think probably the middle ground is somewhere around 20% of that 600,000, which for us would be a success. But
how much is the .nz?
Retail about $55.
How much are the Kiwis going to be?
It's gonna be about the same.
Do New Zealand use Facebook?
Tim, you explained to me yesterday.
How many people in New Zealand say are on Facebook? Is it a high percentage of people that use Facebook?
Yeah, it's 1 in 4 at least.
How much does it cost to go to Facebook?
Nothing.
Nothing. So you talk about all things changing. People on Facebook, you don't pay anything for that. So if you want to talk about your camera, you want to talk about your lifestyle, you don't need to have your own domain name. You can go to Facebook for free to do that.
Yeah, I agree. I think 35 is expensive. I genuinely think, even though your research says that, I think you're going to find even if you want to put $8 names, you don't trouble converting 10%.
You're talking about a market which is conditioned at $35, not $8.
Yeah, but if you offer Kiwi at $8, it's a character longer, it's fighting an incumbent. I think you'd have trouble getting. We'll see, right? But I think you'll have trouble getting 10% share.
Con.nz, right?
I think you'll have trouble getting the 60,000 registrations.
Let's talk next year.
At $8, at 35, you can do that. We'll see what happens.
Well, Tim, you explained to me yesterday that it's not limited to just people in New Zealand, that you think that you have a bigger market than that, correct?
Yeah, we've got 1 million expats around the world, and they're not just talking expats, they're evangelists to the country and to the brand of Kiwi. So we've got access to every single one of those pretty much through our expat network, and they can be very passionate about making sure that they're not just identified as Kiwi in the real world, but as Kiwi online as well.
Yeah.
Another good example is not Irish. You know, there's a lot of people that relate, you know, that feel like they're Irish, love the Irish. You know?
Or Italian.
Right. So, you know, we feel, well, there's not even going to be a dot Italian, but there's a dot Irish. So, you know, that's going to probably be a very successful TLD. You know, besides what happens at Notre Dame, but anybody that's Irish, there's 110 million Irish people all over the world right now. You know, so that's another, you know, example where people have an affiliation to a specific TLD because of their background, their religion, where they come from, what business they're in, what they believe in. You know, another one's .gay, I'm sure everybody heard of. So, you know, it's a community. It's a feeling of what you belong to. And so that's where this is going to make a difference, I think.
I totally disagree with that. I think that,
let's debate that, you and me.
I kind of lump geos in with yes, you're right, fashion play, it's true, right? But the problem with geos is the internet's global. When I'm in New York City, .NYC is going to be a great name, right? But all of a sudden you polarize everybody from New Jersey, Delaware, and all right, you're only in NYC. And if you're selling online, you want to sell globally, right? Similar and with .gay, you need to be the most out there gay person on earth. It doesn't mean that you want to fly your flag with your URL or email address, even if you want to register. I really think that will surprise people. I was astonished. I think the people who use that day will be for pornography sites, and that type of thing. That's where they'll ultimately find a public use. And that'll polarize pretty the gay community because they'll be like, oh my God, there's gay content everywhere. So I can't actually put up, you know, flowers.gay and put up my gay flower site. It doesn't make sense. I've got too much porn. So I think a lot of these, there are problems certainly if you want that. But I kind of, you know, comforted by the fact that there just, you know, aren't enough. Years ago, I came to the ship back when there were cigar bars and shots everywhere. We were all riding high on PTC revenues, living the dream. And there were probably 3 times the number of people in the room maybe 4. And it was a much bigger industry because everybody, there was just so much more money sloshing. This was before the financial crisis, before everything. And I remember turning to my, you know, the girl I worked with at Yahoo who was attending and saying, what's the problem with this? You know, I don't want to be a buzzkill, but you know, where's the downside here? Everybody's, you know, riding high along for a good time. And she's like, right, the problem here is lack of inventory. And I've never forgotten, it's so true. There's not enough names that are meaningful. We own them all. Where are the newcomers going to be? Where's the 14-year-old kid from Skokie, Illinois going to go get those names? Where's the next you to backfill your work? There's not enough inventory. So I'm comforted by all this new stuff, and that it kind of it expands the pie. You can't have a real estate market. There's only one city in the country. You need more cities.
I think there's an unlimited inventory. I think there's an infinite inventory. Okay? I just think, first of all, there hasn't been enough commerce being done with people reselling their domain. People are still getting their heads around buying something for more than $8. So I think you can take almost any keyword subject, and I'm sure the people in this room within 30 minutes can find an excellent domain name that they can hand register, and they can find a superb name that they can buy for $500 or $1,000. Now, the point is,
sorry, you're wrong. We know how it works, but the people outside don't know it. And
But therein lies the problem, that we haven't even done a proper job of explaining .com.
The point is that this industry is still in its infancy, unlike real estate, which is thousands of years old. It's not mature yet. We're not even in the first inning yet. That's
why I said .com has another 20 years.
But it's not going to be stuck on .com. Unfortunately, fortunately, we're not going to be stuck on .com because there's 1,000 new TLDs coming. So.
Yesterday,
well, it speaks about 1,000 new TLDs. I want Danny to run this clip from my camera.
One second. Yesterday, Frank and I were discussing where on the chart are we in historical terms as far as value.coms? And my reply to him was, if we were talking baseball and baseball stars in the last 100 years, I would say generously, I would say somewhere between Babe Ruth and Mickey Mantle. The salaries in baseball during those years, maybe even pre-Babe Ruth, pre-100,000. You can shake your head. I'm telling you, listen, Babe Ruth made 100 grand, Mickey Mantle didn't even make $1 million, and whatever the guys now make 25 million. I'm just saying, look at all the new look. Since and during that period, when baseball was the #1 pastime, it was replaced by football, which is now the #1 pastime. It's been replaced by car racing, NASCAR, which is even bigger. And guess what? They're still making 25 million a year in baseball, okay? It doesn't affect the others. It just makes it bigger and better for everyone. And getting back to my key point, give me a keyword in any industry. You want plumbing? Fine. I will find you a domain in plumbing for under $2,500 in 20 minutes that you can set yourself for the rest of your life on, okay? Now, wait a second, so you say, well, I'm going to spend $2,500. Excuse me, that everyone in that video clip spent $2,500 before he ever put the key in the door. Okay, it cost him tens of thousands of dollars before he put the key in the door. So we've still failed, .com has still failed to make the parallel between what it costs Sears to build a store in Oshkosh that'll take 3 years and $5 million and may or may not make a profit.
You know, it's tough because much of what you said didn't make sense, and I agree with it. But where I kind of disconnected is when you mentioned finding a great name. I think you have trouble finding a great name.
Find a plumbing name. Come on, guys. Find me a plumbing name. I'm telling you, there's a challenge out here. Find a plumbing name, no reserve at this auction today. Topplumber.com. Topplumber.com. No reserve. Okay? I just proved my point. No reserve. Top Plumber. Can you make a second? Is that a decent domain name? Can a plumber make a living or a company make a living with Topplumber.com?
You can make a living with any plumbing name. Exactly. But my point is, I guess this is what I'm saying. The disconnect is that I'm not trying to have plumbing related to products.
I don't want Top.Plumber. I'd rather be part of the club of .com, which is the biggest franchise the world has ever known. And if I'm opening up a pizza store, maybe I can't compete against Domino's. But guess what? I can put pizza on my sign, and then I can compete against Domino's.
The issue is not whether .com
not pizza.
No. I'll take that one too.
Let's take this.
I will take Rick's.pizza, but it's another entrance to Rick'sPizza.com.
It is now, for the next 8-10 years, it is another entrance to Rick'sPizza.com. We agree. But what I'm saying is, the more pizza joints, when Pizza Hut goes to Pizza Hut, there's .Domino's. I think, cheese.Domino's, my.Domino's, and that starts to be.
Frank, the oversaturation.
Blank.pizza.
I think the biggest challenge, I see one of the biggest things that I'm looking at it, it's overwhelming from the domain standpoint. There is so many utilities coming out. What happens if we have a building recession? A lot of building developments are built, and there's so much inventory, and the price of
You'll have
no one's buying.
There will be a bust.
That's the problem.
And
They're not just so much.
But the issue is not whether .com has value or not. .com has and will have tremendous value. But what's interesting is there's new choices and new opportunities. And actually, everyone in this room has a tremendous opportunity with new gTLDs because you guys do know what it is, unlike the people in Howard's video. And I have the opportunity to look for the new TLDs that will have value, that will have meaning, that will grow. And from a branding perspective, for creative marketers, the opportunity now to create campaigns around a domain name, to create landing pages that are campaign specific, that people have balked on in the past because they couldn't get a name that made sense for the campaign or it cost too much, will have opportunities, and that usage will continue to help things grow. So it's about new opportunity. It's not about, detracting anything from .com.
Can I comment on what you said just for a second? You are saying that it's an opportunity for us, and I agree with you. I totally agree with you. But it's only an opportunity for us because nobody else, like we have seen, knows about it, and I know it as well from Europe. A few brands will buy it, maybe a few other people will buy it, but we will take all the good domain names within the first 30 seconds. They maybe will buy from us, but they don't want. The market today is totally illiquid. And it was in the past as well, very absolutely illiquid. When we reviewed the zero numbers, for example, we saw last year, I think, 9,000 domains. Come on, 9,000 domains, everybody of us, when they want to register them within 10 minutes. And they have value. First, we have to find it, then the buyer. So we will take your domains within the first 30 seconds. And we wait for some buyers. 50% of them will drop after the first renewal period, which is maybe a year or maybe 2 years, like you did with .movie. The biggest success of .movie, what was it? It was maybe your auction, Flores .movie. And then I wasted enough time. You know what?
I wish I was like about bits on Flowers.movie. Oh,
yeah, maybe maybe they still.
He was at 190,000. You were at 190,000, and I was a smart to build 200,000.
I agree with you. Hey, what else came after this? What else? We had the same shit with other TLDs. And we wasted a lot of money, and we will do it again. You will do your share.
I think this is a little bit different, though, Frederick. This is going to be a little bit different. This is not about 22. This is not about 22 existing TLDs. Yeah, this is about opening up new markets. It's it's an expansion of the internet that people are not. This is not for the people in this room. This is not for the money next to you. I think what Frank said at dinner last night was dead on. We're the luckiest, we're the luckiest person in the industry because we do know what's going on and we do have experience. We've been doing it for a long time. And whether you take some of the new real estate or not, that's not what the issue is. It's what's going to happen to the world of everybody that's not online yet. It's not for the aftermarket right now. It's for people that aren't online yet. It's for new companies. It's for my kids that aren't even out of school yet and haven't created their business yet. It's a completely new market. It's not for the people in this room. That's not why we're launching this.
I think Frank is the best. If I were getting it back then, Frank's been in this industry. Frank understands.
There's people that are in our space that have really bowed up and spending billions and billions of dollars. People that are making direct and web.com and Microsoft and Google and Amazon.
There's also
Hey guys, one time.
Also a lot of people that were never in this space that are seeing a money grab, an opportunity to make a lot of money. Frank, you understand the bumps in the road. You'll probably be there to pick up their extensions when they go bankrupt. But I think that many of these people would be well served. They could go in and buy a lot of portfolios in this room and do a hell of a lot better than the money they're spending.
As Jeff said, 80% it's going to be like any other business. 80% may fail, and there'll be 20% that succeed.
I think
there's no guarantees in life. There's no guarantees in anything. So this is like any new venture.
We have
history.
Maestro, a little history.
But it's new history.
Watch the screen.
gTLDs were opened up a few years ago. There's pretty much a company around all of those. Do you think that all these domains are going to be buzzing and vibrant places which will really change the internet, or are they going to be pretty much empty as well as other?
Our job is to offer consumer choice and enhance competition. It's up to those consumers to pick the winners and losers. And our job is to focus on security and stability of the domain name system.
One domain investor.
That's okay. We'll cut that. Judy Perkins has been waiting patiently to say something. Hold on.
I just want to make one simple statement, and this is this. My doctor is .com, okay? But when I told him what was coming out, he said, well, I'll buy that too. Now, if that means that it's too more of a lead set, I don't know. But to me, one word is progress. And we all get along, and it's going to happen, and it doesn't make a difference. We'll all make money.
Thank you, Judy. Just to move this forward, it would seem to me that those that have succeeded have spent what they call a shitload of money in marketing. I mean, it takes marketing to be successful in this business. .co is obviously a good example. They did marketing, they got together with GoDaddy, and they became at least successful in their own right. Whether they continue to be successful is another thing. On the other hand, there's, like was mentioned earlier, .travel, which sounds to me like it would be a winner in any case. They did not market and was not successful, at least not yet.
.travel came out as an STLD and limited, but actually .travel is a very successful registry. Nobody knows, most people don't know that, but it clears $1.4 million of profit every year in their little 60,000 registration set.
There's a difference between.
And it was an STLD that was locked down for any travel agents and people in the travel industry. If it launched today as an unrestricted TLD, it might be the biggest one of all.
There's a big difference between looking at it through the eyes of a business of a registry and looking at it like we look at it through the eyes of a domain investor. That's a huge difference. As far as a registry, they're going to make money. Frank's going to make a shitload of money. They're going to make a fortune. Listen, they don't have to register that many domains to be that profitable. That doesn't translate into us buying it for $50 and selling it for $500,000. That's the disconnect.
I agree, but I started out as a domain investor. I started out.
4 times the domainer of the year.
Thank you, sir. I know that. I mean, seriously, I
nominated
for number 5 to get these names and get SLDs and try to make money with them. One of the things, you use those 3 criteria that I mentioned at the outset: low and low prices. You can see who is doing what. When .tv came out with variable pricing, they were charging $15,000. People were still paying Riverside $10,000 a year for the .tv deal. They're locked into some old deal that's terrible, right? And that's not the way to build a great registry. TV could have been a great namespace if they put it out at like $10, $12. Low real prices, hands off governance, let people do what they want with TV. That's what you gotta kind of look for as a leader. You gotta look at who's operating the registry, how much are they charging per name, what are they gonna do? When we do our land rush, in any of our spaces, we're gonna put out everything available, the best names, the best SLDs at registration price. Oh yeah. But then after the first week, we'll start to move in and take our registry reserves, registry assets for those that don't take it. So that gives you an opportunity you want to deal with a registry operator like that. Not everybody will do that. I get it. And and even the ones, it's even possible that even though we have best intentions to try to offer something that's cheaper than everybody, that they won't be successful as some of the other ones where they're much more mercantilist registry operators who are trying to make much more money.
If you were starting today we're back in the day, all these extensions over, what would you do?
I see it as like the mother of all opportunities.
Where would you go if you were in the same position you were in?
I would look at the spectrum of just what I said, who's offering what as it comes. I would try to take good extensions in many of these spaces, and then I would try to sell them. The prices on these will go up. There will be names that get offered at registration price, low prices, under $30 per year. Good names. You try to take those ones that make sense. It takes research. You got to look at, search ads. What are people searching for? And then try to find this is the obvious example. This name probably won't be available for registration price when it comes out, but like used cars, stuff like that, where it makes sense. If there were DUI space, Maryland can get DUI.
You'd be overwhelmed, but opening up 300 extensions to apply for, you would not.
The words don't change. I know it feels overwhelming. I know it feels right now when you say that. You said it a moment ago. I'm going to jump in and say it feels overwhelming to see all these different choices, but people aren't going to register toilet paper.bank. They're going to register, toilet paper.web.
I've been coming to these conferences for a lot of years, and I wish these guys walk around with these great big lists of names. I didn't put out.
We've been speaking like this.
There were people walking around for years with these great lists of domains they registered. They're a brilliant idea. They spend God knows how much money on .info. And you look at them and you just you're nauseous.
Well, you don't buy those.
I think that's what a lot of these registries are hoping for.
Well, that's true.
That's how they're going to be successful. They're going to be successful with those who are going to fail. They won't be successful because of those that will succeed.
Again, that depends on the extension. I mean, it really depends on the extension.
How many people are going to come out and register an extension and then have this fabulous startup that's going to go bonkers in the next 5 years? Versus how many people are going to buy all these names they're going to sit on and eventually drop.
That could happen too. But you know what? The thing is that that 1% of people have to make. People can be back to your side. your son's Fred.
He knows .com. He wants magicstore.com.
You know, right now.
I'm selling on your platform.
I want to know
.com.
there is no, right now, snapshot right now, there is no other name. There is no other name. We're gonna have .tattoo, which isn't one of the strong ones in our roster.
Well, that's what I was just gonna ask Frank. Uniregistry has a number of extensions in the works.
Yeah.
2 questions. What do you anticipate being the first one coming out of the box? And then the second one is, what do you think will be most successful?
Thank you. So, I think .tattoo will be first. We'll be in the room. You'll be able to see, tattoo resolve in the room, hopefully by Halloween. So this Mondays are coming. And then go into what's called Sunrise, where, brands get put into the trademark clearinghouse and they get pulled away, and then there's a quiet period of some time. So we'll have general availability of that tattoo in January. Again, we projected 25,000 registrations. It's like an also we hope it will be successful. We're going to price it in a cost-effective way, low prices, but you got to think about how people are going to publish content, what they're going to put out, how they're going to use it. And we don't think that's particularly, mammoth straight. And then, in terms of successful ones, I've been blathering on to anybody here to listen about Link. I like that because it's generic. It works for, first names. It works for names, all kinds of stuff. And it'll be cheap. It'll be $8. So at $8, I like that Link. I like it better than Newcloser.
When do you project that coming out?
That'll be before the end of the first quarter of 14. So, and .sexy will be big. I think that'll be a global chuckle of the name. I'll take my name .sexy because I think it's funny. Again, $8. How does it not? So I think a lot of these will be successful, and it'll be probably some people in this room will participate, and others won't, and then there are going to be newcomers.
When I look at my email account, I see over the years when I used to go and get the .org and the .net, I used to spend a lot of money going after the .net and the .org. People, and every time I buy an email, I get offered the .net, the .org, the .info, the .net. I don't even look at it. I got to a point where how much money can I spend on something that it's just, when I go to sell a domain name, I've never increased the sale by saying I can offer the .net or the .org. If anything, they'll take it for free. So a long time ago, I gave up on that, saying I'm just going to focus on the .com. My money is best spent on that one name. Rather than buy the .org, the .net, unless I think they're great extensions, and if I was developing a name there, I own baby.net. At the end of the day, I'm not going to spend my money developing baby.net. It's a great name, but if I'm going to do it, it's got to be baby.net.
Right, that has baggage, a little bit. It started out as a networking company's domain name. It's kind of like Org has the baggage of being a charity, whatever it's charitable, it's an NGO type thing.
But if you ask people, those are the 3 extensions they know. I mean, that's really what they know is not.
Because they're the only ones who exist.
That's the ones they know today.
I'm talking to how many extensions exist today.
Yeah, that's the ones we know today in our generation, but the next generation is going to know 500 new ones.
Right. They're also Facebook's going to get a lot better at what they do, and Instagram's going to get a lot better at what they do.
Yeah.
And there's going to be more people getting Facebook pages for free without having to have a domain name. Just go in a search box, so you're up against that as well.
Right.
Some people with Facebook pages.
.com is up against that as well.
And some people with Facebook pages will want to own a better name than facebook.com/groups/something pointed to their Facebook page.
This is not a stagnant market, it's a growing market.
My
It's increasing every day. The worldwide market is only 25% penetrated on the web in the whole world. 94. That means there's a shitload of opportunity. There's 5 million people not even online yet. It's going to change. Everything's going to change. It's going to be much different.
We've all
not in our world, the new world.
We've all gone through that phase where we're concerned about names might go away. Using real names was a big thing back in the day, right? Microsoft real names. And Facebook today and Twitter. But in 2004, I said we really, I was the guy who produced March on Community, that deal, and I said to you and I said, I'm worried that names will go away with all this real name stuff. And he says, Frank, don't worry. Names are not going to go away because there's no email on a domain name. And that's the thing you need. In order for there to be email, you need a domain. So, believe me, if Facebook, Google, all these companies will have nothing more than domain names to go away, and all navigation happens through the Google, through the Facebook, right?
Domains won't go away, but many extensions will.
Many extensions will, but many won't. There'll be a lot of new ones.
It's like, let's look at the National Football League. Beyond that, I'm not looking for any other sport.
Lonnie,
I know, as Rick mentioned, NASCAR is now bigger than NFL.
It's 1900, and we're in New York City. And I'm telling you, there's going to be Los Angeles, there's going to be Houston,
No
there's going to be Dallas.
And it maybe make more sense on a local level, like.
And if there were no New York, if there was only New York, and there was no Los Angeles, and there was no Seattle, there's no Houston, then you have 1,000-story skyscrapers and no idiot's going to afford 2-bedroom apartment.
But according to their scenario, Manhattan becomes devalued because of Kansas City and Seattle, and I don't see it that way. I don't see it as a threat. I see it as Manhattan just keeps going up and up. When did Manhattan go down?
Let's hope that happens. That's great.
It just goes up.
That's great.
I think the basic difference between the two sides is that you believe that it will benefit .com, and you believe that it will take.
No, but that's what I say. Absent Los Angeles, and absent Houston, and absent Dallas, Manhattan real estate that would be much, much more valuable. I'm saying that all these new spaces will marginalize. There's $20 million homes in Beverly Hills.
Show me the evidence.
There's
one thing I listen.
There's more expensive homes in Beverly Hills than in New York City.
When you make a statement like that, you have to have evidence that the prices in New York City are declining because of Chicago and LA. When are prices in New York declining? Go buy a condo in New York. You get 900 feet for $3 million.
Right. But I'm saying if there was no Los Angeles, if there was no Miami, how many great cities to visit?
But that's 7 million people. If there wasn't 600 million people,
There are enough people to go around. That's the whole point. But I believe there's a big difference between actuality, logical thinking, and what has actually happened, as opposed to wishful thinking. And a lot of nobody has a crystal ball, at least not one that works well. And that's what we're talking about, a crystal ball.
The rubber really hits the road. We're talking about, can somebody skate their wallet to buy your domain, your common, for whatever, $100 grand, $1 million, whatever, right? They're expecting that name is going to go up to 10 million, 20 million in a day. But what I'm saying is that there's a greater risk of that being marginalized, more growth in the new stuff.
That's the point. There's no historical evidence of that happening. There's evidence of exactly the opposite happening, and I'm pointing it out. So you can't ignore it. You have to address it.
So that happened when New York, Los Angeles, exactly. We're 1900 New York City. There is no Los Angeles.
You can drive to Pennsylvania and find hundreds of acres of land.
Go down west on the train.
Why is there skyscrapers in Pennsylvania where it's cheap?
I'm going to Vegas tomorrow. I'm getting on a train. It's going to take me 3 days to get out there. I'm going to build a city filled with casinos in Las Vegas. It's going to be there. It's going to rival other big cities. You're like, no, I'm going to stay in New York. And New York's going to be the best ever.
Depended on the people from New York to get on the damn plane to fly to Vegas. You forgot that earlier. The people from New York didn't get on the plane to fly to Vegas to meet up with Vegas.
Let's not praise once a sequel, okay? Let me, we only have about 5 minutes left. Let me ask the audience if there's anybody who has a question to this fantastic panel. Yes, sir.
Hi, I'm Matt. Just from the stylistic point of view, I've got friends who are fashion photographers and that sort of thing. They love the look of something else, which is relevant. They see that they can eliminate the com, and they see that as sort of not as sort of visually interesting or conveying information. So I'm just trying to think of one, but it might be toy.sales. I mean, you're really knocking out a couple of characters which don't tell you anything, I guess. So that's my feedback from people in advertising and so on, and they don't see it coming. I mean, they don't even know it's coming. But when they look at it, that's what I see.
How many of you think that .coms will be hurt by gTLDs? Raise your hand. And how many of you think that GLTs will actually increase the value of .com? Raise your hand.
Okay. It would seem to me that the whole key is advertising. If you see billboards with .whatever, and you see TV commercials with .whatever, you're going to start thinking that maybe I ought to go to .whatever, and that's just the human nature, because that's where the money is, and you follow the money, and you usually come out right.
And one of the things, it's more of a comment, on the front lines with domain sales and so forth. And what we see is, anybody that looks at the television, you go on TV and you're watching a show, And I tell this to all my clients, you see a break, and there's a 3-minute break, and there's 6 advertisements in that break. They're all advertising .com. They're all conditioned to look at the .com and to, there's so much money behind the brand. So if you look at least in my personal opinion, you're probably 10 to 15 years away, even for the early adopter, to understand the true value of the new extension. So while I put my hand up because I think the value of the .com is declining, I think that's a short-term effect. And the long-term effect would be that the .com will always remain supreme.
There's no one gTLD that will displace .com. It's not going to happen. But and I don't think it's a fair question that will the new gTLDs make .com worth less? What it will do is a lot of us have compound word phrases that will become worth less, and a lot of the big words will become worth big more.
Because right, the main reason is because there's going to be a flood of millions of new options. It's going to be a flood of inventory. So while some keyword domains will retain their value,
There's a difference between inventory and actual public knowledge of that inventory.
right, a combination of. So when you have millions of new choices, and sometimes those choices are a direct keyword with a word of the meaning, sometimes they're right or not, then it might be a better choice for some people.
Right?
Enjoy.
The biggest .com one-word dictionary terms that are obvious and big will always be valuable and even go up against all this new stuff. But the problem is, many of us in our portfolios have names like freemaps.com, 2-word compound phrases. And I would much rather have free.maps than freemaps.com. And so it's not, and maybe that's an extreme example, or not, sorry, a close example.
I'll take both.
But and that's probably the answer. That's to my point about there's not enough inventory. You should take that because there's not enough inventory.
There's plenty of inventory. Don't listen to them. You're never going to run out of inventory.
Yeah, another good information come on the session, and I think market setup will be 1,000 extension coming out, and 80% will fail, 20% will stay, and you need to run the full operating the extension. Another friend is do excellent, but for people outside of the domain name space. Let's say I'm a small business owner, I want to open up a camera shop, and I don't know who's the kind of operator, right? And I can go for camera. I can go for something like camera. Maybe I follow the data camera, but I can follow the camera.com. But let's say by coming a big, I go to advertise in Super Bowl. I follow the data camera, and let's say that camera go out of business. I invest so many things in my web traffic, my email, my website, and I don't know whether it's going to be here for 5 years from now or 10 years from now. I would rather probably go back to followtheircamera.com, and then it's going to be here forever. So that's my concern.
Let me just follow that up for 1 second, and that is that I can see a use for .kmart, because it'll be Hollywood.kmart, Fort Lauderdale.kmart, the Miami.kmart, and so on. I can see that kind of a use, but George makes a good point here. Any response to that?
I agree. I think banks and institutions that need to be their email more secure, their brand more secure. It makes sense. They can buy that. They can afford to buy that one name. That's just a brand protection thing. If you look around and you expect every brand to go out there and register every single possible extension of what they own, that's just, you're basically you're forcing them into buying it because they don't need it and they don't have to have it. Anything, you're just forcing them to protect themselves. I think it's a waste of money.
Let me before you start, I want to address we're running out of domain names. I want to show you the fallacy. Phone numbers. Did we run out of phone numbers yet? The last time I looked, there's like 13 digits on a phone, and it rings every phone in the world. Every single phone in the world, 13 different digits. Did we run out? Go to Vonage, you can get thousands of phone numbers right now. We have not run out. 13 digits in the phone number. Is that right? 10? And then your country code. So 13 digits brings every single phone in the world.
But a phone number doesn't mean anything, so it doesn't matter what
No, it doesn't mean anything. A phone number is a lifeline to your business.
But here's the point.
They don't mean anything.
But listen,
Here's the point. The phone number didn't run out, but the area code did.
No.
Yes.
Listen,
The area code did.
But it doesn't matter. It didn't
The zip code did.
It's still a phone number.
I know, but they had to put something in to make sure that you can still have that phone number. It's like an area code. And then when those area codes come out, they had to get another area code.
Instead of having www.pay, put www.ebay. That's where the prefixes, that's where the area codes come in, is the different letters, 13 different letters. You have 26 different variables because of all the letters and the numbers. It's so overwhelming. In anyone's lifetime here.
Letters have words and words have meaning. But letters don't unless they have their meaning in the country or whatever. But,
I thought,
you know, numbers spell words. So
I just want to
John,
this is, I think, relevant to the conversation. There's a company that is taking on AARP directly, and they're called AMAC. And they have a national marketing budget, they're radio hitting all over the country. And they advertise the website as amac.us, and then the host has to say, it's not .com, remember, it's amac.us. So they have to proactively state the .com, that it's not the .com. They should go to the right website, amac.us. So I just want you all to comment on that.
But by definition, they're going after a target audience that might require that extra assistance, where younger generations may have.
right, the average age is 60 or 70, so most of them have computers.
That's kind of our age. Listen, none of us have the right to the answers. We don't know. It'll be judged on a extension by extension basis, on a registry by registry basis. And also, some people at some registries can say some stupid things that hurt other registries. And that's going to happen when you have 700 people all having different ad campaigns saying different things and something's conflicting. Like, .com is your father's domain name or your father's extension. That dog ain't gonna hunt.
So I think you have to remember one thing, is that there's no one trying to sell you on buying .com, really, it's there. And I think that a lot of these registries, and all of them, have a vested interest in selling you on buying their extension. They're only gonna make money if they convince us to buy their extension. And where .com is really, at this point, it sells itself. And I think you need to understand that you may be buying something that will be worthless a minute after you buy it. And it's going to be all about the marketing and advertising. And at the end of the day, .com will continue to be there. And you won't have to worry if you buy that $5,000 .com, will it be there in 5 or 10 years? When you buy this new extension, put your brand behind it, you're going to have to think every day when you wake up, is that going to exist?
Right, but with the clock back, just want to make the clock back 20 years ago, when people didn't know what .com was. So we're now 20 years ago backwards, but moving forwards with 500 new choices.
Okay, but
that's the similarity, but it's the difference also at the same time.
One second, my question here is, because it was mentioned earlier, but just went on briefly. .mobi was a failure. Why is somebody getting .mobile? And why would that make you any more successful than .mobi?
Well, .mobi's intent, obviously, when it came out, was that it was going to be the only domain where you can properly see a mobile device's screen, and that was the technology behind it. Obviously, the web figured that, the internet figured that stuff out, so that's what kind of killed the .mobi extension. They're actually successfully building websites now, but all these new extensions aren't going to just be registered domain names like .com. Some of them will come with applications, some of them will come with tools and website builders, and there's going to be, for instance, there's going to be a .secure that's going to have anti-phishing, anti-spam technology for banks and verification software. That domain name is going to cost $10,000 to register, but it's for banks and financial institutions. .web will be something that's $7 or $8 that competes your .com. But there's a .tickets that's coming out that will have a secure anti-fraud and counterfeiting application, which if you have a .tickets extension, it will guarantee that the ticket's valid, was never counterfeited. So think of the application side of the business, all the apps that you use on your cell phone. The domain names, in many cases, will have applications attached to them and upsells and more viral, attractiveness than just registering a domain name and you just using it like .com. So think outside the box a little bit about so what some of these are going to come from.
Monty, StubHub going to change their name to StubHub.tickets?
What's that?
StubHub going to change their name to StubHub.tickets. Ticketmaster going to change it to .tickets.
Possibly. There's 4 or 5 applicants going after .tickets. So some of them are big ticket corporations. So that might happen.
Yeah, they could have probably bought tickets.com for, a decent price and then go after.
Yeah, but again, you're entering and it's a different world. You're still thinking we're in this, only us in the room in this generation. We're talking about billions of more people getting online that are starting
They
business.
send me to their Facebook page, they don't send me to their web page, and when they meet your meeting, it's still.
But that's them. The people that are going to operate tickets are going to offer a security mechanism to buy and sell tickets. It's a big problem. It's a multi-billion-dollar problem in the industry. But their application for tickets is going to prevent that. So just think about the domain names, not about how we use them today, but how some of the new application builders, including Google, by the way, who's going after 110 of their own extensions. They're obviously not just throwing pennies at it. They're going to make sure that some of those extensions have meaning and definition. And of course, Google and Amazon and Microsoft, they all have huge wins at stake here. They want them all to be successful because more internet traffic means more web advertising, which means more money in their pockets. So they want every single one of them to be successful. So think about that as well.
A lot of this could be also about control and some big companies losing control. So think about that too.
Yeah.
This is a fact. I was out in Chicago and I lost my voice. I was in Chicago and I happened to be in a restaurant and I heard people speaking in line. They had flown in to Chicago. This was about 2 years ago. Their entire company to let them know about the change to Dot Foods. And now current usfoods.com has huge white trucks driving all around northern New Jersey, and perhaps you've seen it, you go by, but it says Dot Foods. It says US, and then there's a space, and then Dot Foods. There won't be any changing the name of usfoods.com, but they do have the Dot Foods. And if you envision the future of that, then you can see the success of the two, the combination of both, which Rick has said all along is why. There is no success without both. I don't mean that there won't be somebody that learns how to do the twists, or somebody that can come out and twerk, or the future of the individual success or the individual stars. But I do think that for solid success in extension, you've got to pay attention to both.
Yeah, for sure. And as Tim brought up, in foreign countries, everybody thinks that because of .com, they don't. I mean, who lives in Germany? Right. So almost every truck, every advertisement obviously is .de, not .com. I mean, all of them. And a lot of the names have dashes in them.
Which is fine. Country codes
are great. Yeah, but country codes, again, it's another example. It's not a .com world. It's a .com world to us.
There's only
but it's not a .com world to the rest of the world.
There's only one global brand that's .com. If you want to be global, you have to be .com. It's simple. .com. Frank mentioned yesterday, they're going to be spending $200 or $300 million to promote whatever. Guess what? They spend $200 or $300 million to promote .com in minutes, in hours. Go catch up with that. It all comes down to numbers and dollars and cents every single time.
And it doesn't have to be an either or either, because a retailer could have the .com, and that could be their corporate side of their storefront, and they can have the .club where their community. And that's what's going to happen.
And those companies aren't global. Those companies are local. Those companies are geo, local, and targeted. So
let me ask you this: probably the most successful country code is .de. Okay, how will these new extensions affect country codes like .de or .co.uk or .com.au? Tim?
But certainly I think the .at, I can't speak for .de, but there's a bunch of applicants from Germany too, so I'm sure it's going to have an impact. But I know it's a difficult. It's hard to get your head outside of this US-centric, .com-centric mindset. I understand that, but it's so significant. You just don't quite get it. And particularly, I'm sorry, I forgot the gentleman's name. Yeah. Particularly him, I think that's a great example of what you can't quite see outside .com. But there's a big world out there, and in New Zealand, as I said before, .com's not trusted. They do a Facebook.
Rick and I have no vested interest in someone buying a .com. You guys have a vested interest because if they don't buy your extension, you have a business. And I think that, to me, is a very big distinction. A lot of people out there that they have to sell that extension in order to be successful. We gain nothing if you buy .com, chances are you're not buying it from us. We're just looking at the roadmap and seeing, you know, we want people to be successful and not waste your money and throw into something that eventually fails. Now, granted, some will be very successful, but there is a vested interest in each and every extension for it to succeed. Where .com, it's the way the world works.
We have a vested interest in bringing consumer choice to a market that only has one domain name on the table.
Right. That's a different market, and I understand.
And VeriSign's interest is probably not to have these come out very soon at all. They're doing everything they can not to have them come out very soon. So their vested interest is to protect .com for obvious reasons. They're even threatened by .co, and it's a fact that they are.
I'd like to take more questions. Unfortunately, we're out of time because the next panel starts in 3 minutes. I want to thank this panel: Monty Bork, Rick Schwartz, Monty Khan, Jeff Sass, Tim Johnson, and Frank Schilling in absentia. He had to catch a plane. Let's give them all a round of applause. Please stick around because in 5 minutes we're going to have domain success stories. And I think that a lot of what they say will affect you and your business. So stick around.